Yep, it happened guys, and the memes are lit. The Twitter board has finally sold to Elon for a whopping $44 billion. So as the dust settles, I wanted to make a quick video recapping the timeline of events, and more importantly, look at the changes that Elon plans to make in the social media platform that we all love and hate at the same time. So strap in, this is going to be quite a ride, a timeline of events. If you haven't been living under a rock for the last month, then you'd be aware that the mercurial billionaire we all love on this channel has been on a crusade to acquire Twitter. Then, out of nowhere, Elon purchased 9.2% of Twitter, shelling out around $3 billion of his own pocket. The next day, Parag Agrawal, the CEO of Twitter, tweeted out that he had welcomed Elon to join the board of directors. But in a major reversal, on the 10th of April, the Twitter board rejected this idea. No one was sure what led to that decision, still, I suspect it had something to do with Elon sending out a series of unusual tweets and polls about the company that painted it in a bad light. Then, a few days later, on the 14th of April, Elon surprised us again when he tweeted out that he had offered to buy 100% of the platform. This announcement led to the Twitter board to scramble, screaming a hostile takeover. All this brings us to the present, and after a week of negotiations, it was announced that Twitter would sell to Elon, and he will take the company private by the end of 2022. But after hearing all this, you might wonder, what is Elon's plan for the platform? So I want to cut through all the political and philosophical chatter around free speech and just focus on the new features you and I may be seeing on Twitter soon. And no, it doesn't involve a new like button in the shape of a Tesla icon. For people following Elon on Twitter, he has laid out a lot of breadcrumbs for us to pick up over the years. Broadly, Elon wishes to undertake 4 major changes to make the platform better. So let's unpack them one by one. The edit button. First and foremost is the inclusion of an edit button. You, me, and The Weeknd all want the edit button for that little mistake that gives that tweet a whole new meaning. Live instead of love, licked instead of locked, and duck instead of… Anyways, currently the way Twitter is set up doesn't allow you to edit your tweets once you have posted them. So Twitter has been toying around with the idea of including an edit feature for a long time. However, its implementation will come with a whole host of challenges. This seemingly simple change to the product will require careful thought. Imagine someone tweets something shocking and later decides to edit it to make it more palatable, but users would have already responded to the initial tweet, and the damage would have already been caused. A later edit would lead to more confusion. Now, granted that most users would probably not use this feature for the wrong reasons, but what do you do about the bad apples? People who are specifically using Twitter for nefarious purposes? How do you code for honesty? One obvious solution is to create an edit log, like Facebook, that lets people see the history of all the changes. But scammers have abused this feature to con people and spread disinformation on Facebook. So Elon and the engineers at Twitter have a lot of careful thinking to do if this is to be a success. Maybe they decide to use an AI to track the context behind each tweet and intervene if someone tries to change it too much. Or limit the time a user has to edit the tweet after hitting send, just like the undo feature of Gmail. Either way, Twitter will most likely test this new edit feature among users of Twitter Blue, its paid subscription service, before rolling it out to the general audience. And thanks to Alessandro Paluzzi, who is considered a leaker in the big tech community, we now have a pretty good idea of how Twitter's edit button might work. If you look at Alessandro's leaks, Twitter has already decided to incorporate multiple sub-features, like maintaining an edit log, only letting people edit their tweets a limited number of times, giving users only 30 minutes to edit their tweets and displaying an edited mark next to the tweet, opening up the Twitter algorithm. The second most important change that Elon wishes to bring about is to open up the Twitter algorithm so that users know how tweets get recommended to them. According to Elon, Twitter is way too important and influential in today's world to keep functioning behind closed doors. And trust me, I've seen The Social Dilemma, and I think he's right. Twitter users should be able to see how the platform works and maintains complete transparency in its operations. This means that it will allow users to see how their tweets rank, how they get distributed to other users, and whether some have been demoted or promoted by the Twitter algorithm, leaving no room for behind-the-scenes manipulation. In addition, it will allow users to understand the factors that may increase or reduce the visibility of their tweets and use that knowledge to grow their influence on the platform. Elon has even suggested that Twitter post the entire source code on GitHub so that independent developers can look for errors and suggest changes. I believe this is his way of creating a free, open-source developer community around Twitter that will constantly give inputs and ideas to the company on how to make the platform better. However, I'm not sure how he wishes to implement all this, because despite the the user suggestions, the control of the code will still be in the hands of the Twitter executives, making accepting and not accepting the suggested changes somewhat arbitrary. Furthermore, the Twitter algorithm is just the tip of the iceberg. The main power of any social media platform lies in the data side of things, so many experts have argued that even if the source code is made public, it will be totally useless without the inserted data, which contains plenty of private and personal information. In an exciting twist of events, according to Disclose TV, some Twitter employees trolled Elon's idea by adding a public repository on the company's GitHub page. They called it the algorithm and quickly removed it before the source code was locked again. This has opened up a whole can of worms for Elon, which I'm sure he wants to do without as the company's new owner. Anyway, suppose he manages to implement this properly. In that case, it will still be a significant step towards decentralizing a social media platform. We as users hardly know anything about any other social media platform's backend algos, so it will be nice to see someone changing that status quo. Authenticating all humans. The third thing on Elon's list is authenticating all human users. He has commented that he wants to increase trust on the platform, and authenticating all human users is how he wants to go about it. Not a lot is known about how he wishes to implement this feature, but one possible way would be to extend Twitter's verification system, denoted by the blue tick next to a user's name. Currently, this verification is available only to a small group of people who have to meet Twitter's stringent criteria, but this feature can be opened up to the rest of the Twitter community. In addition, those who are willing to back up their profile with proof of identity such as a passport should have the option to do so. However, there are some problems associated with this as well. First of all, it will definitely dilute the importance of the blue tick that most political commentators, journalists, and celebrities covet. Secondly, there are major concerns regarding user privacy since verification of this kind will require access to sensitive personal information. Now, we are already used to sharing our personal data with private entities, but there are many people these days who fear for their data privacy and would like to keep away from the platform if this becomes a mandatory thing. Furthermore, there are plenty of valid reasons why some users may choose not to use their real names or give their personal information. Suppose they are dissidents from an authoritarian regime or repressed employees looking to whistleblow on their company's malpractices. What does Twitter do then? Suppose they allow verified and non-verified profiles. In that case, they will create a tiered system of accounts, which doesn't really solve the problem entirely. Some have even suggested that Elon authenticates humans using NFT profile pictures and blockchain technologies. I'm not sure how that will work exactly, but we can be sure that it will not be easy for Elon to fix this problem overnight. Removing all the spam bots. The fourth and final thing that Elon wishes for is to divert company resources to root out all the scammers and bots that have plagued Twitter over the years. In various tweets and speeches, Elon has always highlighted this problem. According to him, it is the single most annoying problem on Twitter, and he is right. I absolutely hate those bots. Spam bots have always existed on Twitter, but these days there has been a rise of crypto scammers on the platform. They seem to have a free reign on almost every thread. They flood user feeds to lure unexpected victims, and a lot of people have become prey to this. Twitter already had a sophisticated way of weeding out these spam bots by detecting various automation patterns, but the scammers have always been a step ahead of them. They have become increasingly slippery, allowing them to pass through Twitter's filters undetected. It is even more challenging to detect manual fakes, which are human beings creating fake profiles to spam. And I think that perhaps the point of authenticating all humans would help in detecting fake accounts. According to one of Elon's latest tweets, Twitter engineers under him will focus on taking care of spam bots and scammers once and for all, or die trying. He believes that he can use a combination of human authentication and advanced AI to eliminate these bots. But the challenge will be in differentiating between automated bots and humans who act like bots on Twitter. Whichever way he chooses to implement it, if he successfully makes Twitter bot-free, I am sure that it will be a safer experience for all users. Why has Elon's Twitter acquisition drawn so much commentary? Although Twitter's business model has barely changed in the last 10 years, and the platform has failed to keep up with its competitors like Facebook or TikTok when it comes to rolling out new and improved features to its audiences, yet it still somehow manages to be synonymous with public discourse. It has become the de facto medium for all our culture war debates, and it remains a pulpit from which influential people all over the globe communicate with the masses. I believe this is what attracts Elon to it. It is less of a business decision for him and more of an investment into humanity's future. He wants to see Twitter become a maximally trusted and broadly inclusive platform, in his own words, which can attract the brightest minds to freely debate humanity's most challenging problems. In his mind, he is working towards a civilizational goal in a world that is becoming increasingly regulated and polarized. Whether he manages to transform the platform into a civilization-defining company like SpaceX or Tesla, or whether it ends up becoming a mere tool for himself and others to continue influencing their vast audiences without any interference remains to be seen. If you enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. See you in the next one.